I was telling a story about, I lost my dad when he was 57. And the last night he was alive on this planet, I spent the night in the hotel with him. He was already unresponsive, and he would have what the nurses called hypoxic seizures, which means he would start shaking and his eyes would open and his mouth would open, and it was just a horrible thing that would go on for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, and I would get up and I would go and hold his hand, and she assured me he wasn't aware, but I still had to go do that. And they got more frequent through the night, and I could sit and anticipate. I could listen to the machines, and I would know, all right, here in just a second it's going to happen again. But I say all that to say that for the first 2 years after he passed away, I would try as hard as I could to picture his face. And the only picture I could make in my mind was the face of him having that seizure. And it was really, really hard. And of course I was struggling with some stuff of my own at that time. So anyway, my dad was a truck driver, and one of the things he preached about was don't drive sleepy, that nothing's important enough. If you need to pull over and take a nap, pull over and take a nap. Don't fall asleep. So I was going back to Nashville from Birmingham, and I pulled into a rest area, and I leaned the seat back, and I was trying to take a little cat nap. And there was a tap on my window, and I looked up, and it was him. And little chit-chat talk, I don't even know what we talked about. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of this, I had that moment where I said, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here. And when I looked back at the window, he was gone. And so I was telling my friend about this story, and he said, oh, that's a song. And I said, well, write it. And he said, no, I can't, it's yours. I said, well, I don't write songs. He said, you probably do. You just have never sat down and tried. So at 59 years old, I started carrying around a little notebook and trying to write down thoughts and jot down things. And it's really been therapeutic. But one of the things that I knew I would have to do is get back around to that story and songs about my dad. And I ended up with 3 of them. I have so many stories about him, and I wrote all these thoughts down, and I couldn't figure out a way to put them all together. And so it ended up as 3 different songs. But this is the one that kind of inspired the trying to write a song. Was the story that I told Adam is caught in this song. So may not make any sense to you guys, but it hits really home to me. So, and it hadn't got any easier. 27 years later, I still have a hard time talking about that. And so this has helped. This is a good way to get to tell stories about my dad without having to worry about curling up in the corner and crying all afternoon. I never threw a baseball with my father. Neither of us were that kind of guy. He never took me out to that old ball game. He never showed me how to tie a tie. But he taught me how to cinch and sit a saddle, how to change brake shoes and bleed a line, how to bait a hook and treat a lady, how to polish boots and make them shine. His time on earth was short and fleeting, but I can't deny his lasting mark. Still hear his voice and see his laughter cigarette in the dark. He came to me once out on the highway. Guess he had been gone about 2 years. I was tired and scared, feeling worthless, beat down by habits and old fears. He gave me reassurance and understanding at a time when I needed him the most. And to this day it doesn't matter if he was a dream or was a ghost. His time on earth was short and fleeting, but I can't deny his lasting mark. Still hear his voice, see his laughter, the glow of a cigarette in the dark. His giant hands could crack a walnut, but could gently touch a baby's face. It could guide his past and his reputation from all those rough and rowdy days. Now I'm proud to be his namesake and his double. I'm proud to be his only son. I think of him each day that I wake up, and I know I'm not the only one. I hope I can continue what he started. I hope I can remind you that he was real. I hope this epitaph gives you a picture more than any tombstone could reveal. His time on earth was short and fleeting, but I can't deny his lasting mark. Still hear his voice, see his laughter, the glow of a cigarette in the dark.